Good day, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps, YouTube Live today, Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Glad to have you here. My name's Eric, attorney for now 46 years, founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm that represents seniors and disabled persons who have debt they can't afford to pay. Our most important message to seniors is this: your Social Security, your pension, your disability, your VA benefits, virtually all forms of retirement is protected by federal and state laws. It can't be taken from you. And on top of that, there was a federal law passed in 2012 that provides that if you're sued and someone gets a judgment against you, twice the amount of your federal benefit deposited in your bank account, that particular bank account is protected automatically from garnishment up to an amount equal to twice the amount of your federal benefits you get each month, even if there happens to be other money in that account. So that means if you got 1,500 in Social Security each month, 3,000 in the bank account is protected from garnishing, even if some money came from another source that happens to be in the account. Now, does that mean you're going to get sued if you don't pay the debt? Not necessarily. Wouldn't worry about it. Which brings us to the first thing I'd written down here. Someone contacted and they say, "Do I qualify as judgment proof? And my Social Security is my sole income, and I have no assets. Unable to pay credit cards. My wife is 82, and I'm 86 years old." Well, yeah, you're judgment proof. Okay, no one, your Social Security is protected. If someone were to sue you and get a judgment, they can't take your Social Security. Twice is protected automatically. Even if you had more than that in that account, even though the excess could be held up, it could still be released to you because it's still protected. Just not twice. The amount over twice is not protected automatically. As long as you keep it less than twice the amount you get each month, it's protected without you having to do anything. And as far as assets are concerned, different. This guy says he doesn't have any assets, so no one can take anything from him. But even if you do have assets, different states have different laws called exemption laws that protect a certain amount of equity in certain types of assets, like so much equity in a home, so much equity in a car, so much equity in a household good, so much equity in this, that, or the other thing. And a lot of states have what's called a wild card exemption, which means if it's not covered under the state exemption, then it's going to be, they have a set amount that's protected no matter what. Okay. For example, Texas has like a 50,000 wild card exemption. Now, so that covers any other asset. So that the seniors that we work with, which is the lower half of seniors with lower incomes or modest incomes, you know, they don't have a problem with being not judgment proof. They are judgment proof. Um, and even if you did have equity in an asset over and above the exemption for the state, it's not the practice of consumer judgment creditors like credit cards to go after a person's non-exempt assets. They simply don't do it. There's rare exceptions, okay? And we talk about that. And so what does that mean? What do we do? What's helps do? What am I doing? What am I doing? Okay. Well, I was an attorney for 46 years, probably filed 30 or 40,000 bankruptcies, and seniors would come to me and I tell them, I say, well, you're judgment proof. No one can do anything. They can't touch your Social Security. But Mr. Olson, they're calling me on the phone. They're making my life miserable. What can I do? And a lot of them couldn't afford bankruptcy. They didn't need to file bankruptcy for the reasons I explained. So HELPS was started in 2012, and we operate under a federal law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Now, that law, one provision of that law says that if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors can no longer call you or send you demand letters anymore. They have to communicate with the attorney. So when people find out about helps, we ask them questions, we enroll them. They get enrolled over the phone. We don't need any money up front to enroll people. The cost is minimal. Maybe 1 out of 6 or 7 of our clients get our help for free. We click a button and you're going to get an email that says "Welcome to Helps." Okay, uh, and then you give us the creditors you don't want to hear from anymore. They're going to leave you alone. I'll just give you an example. This morning, just a few minutes ago, I got off the phone with a son and a mom. Mom didn't have a lot of debt. I mean, she didn't have many debts, just a few creditors. She did have a reverse mortgage on her home. She had some equity. She lived in New Jersey, but she couldn't afford to pay the debt anymore. and her income was about 1,000 in Social Security, maybe $400 or $500 in a pension. And I explained to her, I said, well, you're judgment proof. No one's going to come after uh, your home. Although she did have equity in a home over and above the homestead exemption, but she had a reverse mortgage and she had 10 or 15,000 worth of debt. She couldn't afford to pay it, didn't want to pay it, and so she enrolled in helps. With the son was on the line too. Uh, Payment isn't going to begin till she gets paid on the third Wednesday, so the payment isn't going to begin till like February 21st, the 21st thereafter. And she's stopping paying these credit cards that she has. She's going to send them to us. We're going to send them a cease and desist letter, and they're not going to bother her anymore. And then I explained to her and her son clearly that, if they ever have a question or they're concerned or they're worried, they pick up the phone and they call, no matter how often. That's what helps is here for. So, yeah, that's what we do is represent seniors so they don't need to deal with collectors anymore. And we represent you ongoing. And the beauty of helps is that you can always talk to us. We're not just there for you for a couple of weeks and gone. We're there to help you literally forever. Okay? So I'll deal with the comments on the comments. There's question on the chat. There's questions. Mom Divine says I have 2 personal loans, signature only, no collateral. But I did sign a promissory note. These were mainly consolidation, credit card, and medical bills. Are these loans handled any differently? No. You don't need to pay them. If your income, Social Security, or pension, and you don't want to pay these debts, you can stop paying them. It doesn't matter if it's a promissory note, whatever it is. Okay? It's no difference. Right. And if you have a question, you call. Okay? Eric, you said my pension is safe. If it's in a savings account with my father-in-law's name on it and my name on it is not on it, and plus my husband's insurance policy, is it, well, Marty, if someone were to sue you and get a judgment and they filed a writ of garnishment on a bank, the only money at risk is bank accounts where your name is on the account. Okay? So there wouldn't be an issue. Okay? And then the other thing too is, it's pension, it's protected, even if your name was on it, and you can show that the money it came from a pension, it's protected. You can file some paperwork with the court, claim an exemption or challenge the garnishment court in order to be released. Now, what about your insurance policy that you got when your wife passed away? That's under state law, but virtually all states, there might be an exception, I'm not aware of it, protect life insurance proceeds that go to someone. So, but in your case, you don't even have to worry about it in the first place. Someone would have to sue you. And then the second issue, they have to garnish the bank account, but your name isn't on the bank account. So you shouldn't worry about this, Marty. Okay? And then if you have a question on any of this stuff, you guys call. That's what we're here for. 855-435-7787. And plus the like button if you like this, subscribe to our channel. A lot of people find out about helps because of YouTube. A lot more people should know about us because we talk to seniors all day long that have been searching desperately for help. What you're going to hear here, you're not going to hear on other channels, or you're not going to hear from other sources. Now, I'll give you an example, okay? And I may have talked about this before. Let me see if I've got it up. There we go. I think I do. So this guy, his name is Steve Rhodes. He does a nice little channel, and it's called Get Out of Debt Guy. And he published an article that we did one time. And I think this came out in December, or it may have been republished in December. And I just came upon it this morning. I thought, I want to talk about this for a minute. And it's called Senior Credit Card Debt, Myth versus Reality by Eric Olsen. Okay? Uh, and I remember writing this article, and I'll just kind of scan over it with it because I think you might find it interesting. Many seniors with credit card debt can't afford to search for solutions. They see an ad on TV or search the internet and turn up to a debt relief company for help. There are scores of these companies with fancy websites, um, be it Better Business Bureau and A+ ratings competing for business. National Debt Relief, a national debt relief company, published an article on its website April 17, How to Spot a Debt Relief Scam. Uh, and this is what they say. They manipulate persons to do something not in their best interest. A reputable debt relief company will learn everything it can about your unique situation. A debt relief scam company uses a cookie cutter approach. They assume your situation is no different from that from anyone else. Okay? Uh, okay. Then the following month, they published an article called Credit Card Debt and Age. What happens when a senior can no longer pay? Uh, and the article talks about all the it's addressed towards seniors. Okay? Okay, towards seniors. And look what it says. Um, National Debt concludes the future could look very bleak for some, but solutions exist to help. What do they talk about? Okay, the bottom line on this article, National Debt Relief doesn't mention any of the unique laws that protect seniors with financial difficulties. Specifically, federal law protects Social Security, pension, disability, and VA benefits. This income can't be garnished and is available for a senior's needs. Because it's protected, these funds do not need to be used to pay old debt. A senior doesn't need to sell a home to pay credit card debt. No law requires a family member to pay a deceased credit card payments. Learning this, a senior conclude that national debt relief help isn't needed. That might be in the senior's best interest, but not in that national. Instead, national debt relief uses the same cookie cutter, one size fits all approach. It says It says that defines a debt scam. It completely ignores discussing the unique laws and protections for seniors with debt. Uh, yeah, I remember this article. They came out and they said it's a scam if they don't ask you about your personal situation. And then the next month they published an article towards seniors, never mentioned one bit of information about how seniors' income is protected. If you're involved with debt settlement or debt management and they never told you your income was protected, you weren't given complete information. Okay. You, um, Now, if they would have given you complete information, you would have realized you didn't need to enroll with them. So this person asks, Tom Anderson says, I just received a notification that a personal loan that is included in my helps account is listed as charge off. Is there anything I need to do? No. That's just kind of it's a credit thing. They charged off the debt. Doesn't mean you still don't owe the debt. You still own the debt, Tom. They may be sending it to a debt collector, a collection agency, but you don't need to do anything in regards to that. Okay. Okay. So this person contacts us from Ohio. They say, I've been watching your YouTube channel for some time now. Um, I should have done this a year ago, but now I'm stuck with a lot of payday loans. I'm going to be 64. I've been on disability since 2019. Now I do not work. I've tried. I can no longer, for my health is deteriorating. My main concern right at this moment is stopping all these auto payments. I have coming out on 3rd of February, your firm is godsend to so many seniors, along with people who are disabled and having very limited income. I am angry at them and at myself for being taken advantage of, for me being so gullible to get roped right into it again. So please, I'm ready. Okay. Call me at your earliest convenience so we can talk and get this ball rolling. I don't know the number where you'll be calling from. Text me first. Let me know you're calling. It's one of those things. I don't know you. I don't answer, but thank you so much. And I'll be watching you Monday through Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. This guy might be listening to us right now. So, what's going to happen with this guy? So we're going to call him back, or he's going to call us, and he's going to talk to one of our staff. He might talk to one of our attorneys or one of our paralegals. They're all really experienced and really good. We're going to ask a couple questions. We're going to ask him, like, where he lives, his age, what's his source of income, how did he find out about helps? Is he buying a home or is he renting? Buying a car, own a car? Has he been sued? If he's buying a home, what's it worth? A little detail about the car. Uh, been sued, who sued him? How much have he sued for? Things like that. Pretty basic information. And then what we're going to do is read him what we do. Okay. And explain to him that his income is protected. No one can take it. Doesn't need to pay the debt. Explain to him that if he's been sued, he doesn't need to go to court, doesn't need to worry. He can stop the payday loans, how to do that. And we'll talk to him a little bit more detail about payday loans, because sometimes payday loans, depends on where you get your payday loan. Sometimes payday loan you might get it over the internet. It could be located overseas, and sometimes they can still try to call you because they can't be sued for breaking the law. But we tell you how to deal with them. So the only information we're going to tell this gentleman from Ohio is good news, that your income is protected and you don't need to worry about this debt, and you can be protected from collector harassment. Okay? So if you're that gentleman, or if that's you, don't hesitate to call. You'll be glad you did. Elga Lido says, are student loans still not allowed to garnish Social Security checks? That's right. Yeah, Social Security, when we had the new administration, they announced around the 1st of May that they were going to start up offsets of student loans. 15% offset for past due student loans for Social Security of 15% of Social Security. And I did a couple of videos on that. And I had my doubts if that was going to continue for a couple of reasons. And sure enough, a month later, around the first part of June this year, they announced, no, we're not going to garnish student loans. Now, they may start it up at some point, but if they do, in the past, and it's been years since they've been offsetting money from student loans, from Social Security for past due student loans, you can get on what's called an income-based repayment plan. If your income is low enough, which it is for many seniors, you don't have to pay anything at all. Okay, so I wouldn't worry right now about student loans being them taking money out of your Social Security. I've never seen a student loan take money out of a pension. They don't file lawsuits. They just have a right to offset 15% of Social Security. But like I said, they're not doing that now, and there's probably going to be a way to stop that if they were going to start doing it again. How long does it take for your credit rating to go back up? It depends. We have a program called 7 Steps to a 720 Credit Score. If you've been part of HELPS for at least 90 days, you can enroll in that program for free, and you can rebuild your credit within a year and a half to 2 years. Okay, it's free. That program is free for clients of HELPS who've been part of HELPS for at least 90 days. Yeah, if you don't do anything, it can still build it up back on your own, but there's things you can do to rebuild it. Your credit is based on your recent credit history. Okay. So this program is sponsored by 720 Credit Score, and that it's a legitimate company, and they don't charge anything, and you can rebuild your credit. Okay. So this person contacts us from Oregon. Income is only about a little bit over 1,000 in Social Security. Says she has creditors and she is concerned they're going to garnish her Social Security. Not going to happen. She was going to file bankruptcy, but she was confused with all the paperwork. Couldn't afford to file bankruptcy. Bankruptcy cost is probably minimum a couple $1,000s or more. No, and she doesn't need to file bankruptcy. So went over what we do. This is some notes from one of our paralegals. Can creditors come after a Chime account? Yeah, but they're not going to do it. Okay. So, I mean, a lot of things are legally possible, but practically speaking, aren't going to happen. We sent her some emails. We sent a general email about helps and what we do. We sent her an email about this YouTube live channel this person could watch. Who can helps. Um, and then that was on January 16th. She read them, called back. We're concerned about our fees. We went over that. What are the fees for helps? Well, we don't turn anyone away. That's one thing. The most a person would pay would be $40 for 24 months, then $20 for 24 months free thereafter. And that payment wouldn't begin until 30 to 60 days in the future. Okay, so let's say you got paid on the third of the month, your Social Security, and a person enrolled today. Would they payment start on February 3rd? No, it wouldn't start till March 3rd because it's got to be at least 30 to 60 days. So we don't want to have anyone pay us more than 30 days. So, so it doesn't cost anything up front to enroll now. So anyway, okay, I'll go on. It says, what is the process? Can um, uh, or credit will never get paid, right? Well, that's right. You're not. When you enroll helps, you're not paying your debt back. Okay. How does she get the information to us? Text it, fax it, email, or mail it. Okay, that's pretty easy. Text, fax, email, or mail. After enrollment, we'll go over what she needs, and then she can determine how she wants to get that information to us. Does she get a receipt after she's been enrolled? Well, absolutely. Yeah. When a person's enrolled, we keep them on the line. They get an email that says, "Welcome to Helps," confirms you're a member of Helps immediately. Says she's in the process of surrendering an RV. The repossession company is the company that owns it. And she still has a balance with the original bank. The RV is in her name and her ex-husband's name. Can we assist with that? Absolutely. We help a lot of people that are surrendering RVs back. And we discuss bank account protections. Explain what we did, and this person enrolled in Helps. So if this is someone like you, don't hesitate to call. We can go over this with you. A lot of people call us 2, 3, 4, or 5 times before they decide to enroll in Helps, or even more. We've got an email on the 720 credit score that we send to people. Explain that program. Person contacts us from California and they say, I would like to be a client. I have several credit cards in collections, pending lawsuit. My wife had a stroke in January a couple of years ago. I haven't made any card payments since then. Well, sure. You don't need to worry. We'll go over this with you. If you want to enroll, we can enroll you over the phone and immediately. That's the nice thing about Helps is you can become our client immediately. So if the creditors are bothering you, when we enroll, we click a button, you get an email, welcome to Helps. And then when we hang up the phone with you, if a creditor called you 5 minutes later, you said, I'm represented by Helps, and you give them our name and number, and they call us, do you represent this person? And then we look on our computer, and yeah, we represent so and so. Leave them alone, and then you get us your uh, name and address and account number for the creditor. We send them out a cease and desist letter. Our goal is to send it within 24 hours. Sometimes it's 48 hours, but it's quick. Okay, we send out cease and desist letter, and they're going to leave you alone. That's what we do. And then if you have a question later that day or the next day, or you're worried or something, I don't know if I heard this right. You call us on the phone. Okay? I don't care how many times you call. I told the story about the guy from Oklahoma and his wife. I swear, they called every day for 60 days straight because she was just really worried. Couldn't believe anything. Now, I don't know if it was 60 days straight, but I got a lot of those calls over those 60 days. Finally, I stopped hearing from them anymore because I think the message finally got through that she was going to be okay and she didn't need to worry. So that's, I would rather have you call than to have you sit home and worry about something when you don't need to worry. Okay? Person contacts us from Arizona. I'm retired, living on my Social Security, which nets me about $2,500 a month. My debts are approximately 30 to 40,000. It's been 5 years, and creditors have stopped harassing me after I've proven my income. Occasionally, I will get new ones when they sell the debt, but it's resolved quickly and they leave me alone. Fine. The reason I want to file is due to being unable to rent a studio or small one-room bedroom. I've been renting a room, and lack of privacy noise is weighing on me physically. It's a boarding house style equipment. Apartment manager has also told me that I need to have a bankruptcy discharge by court before they would rent to me. Well, not all. We have a letter that we'll send to anyone, whether they're a member of HELPS or not. We call it landlord letter, that explains to a prospective landlord that this person's income is Social Security or pension, that it's protected under federal law, can't be taken from them, and the money is available to pay their rent. Will always be available to pay your rent. And that seems to do a trick for a lot of clients. And even if you're not a client of HELPS, you can contact us and we'll send you that letter. And so, like I said, if some people want to rebuild their credit, they can do that within a year and a half to 2 years. Is there a dollar amount that a creditor used to determine if it's worth their time to sue you? Well, I imagine that's up to the individual creditor, um, but I've seen creditors sue for even less than $500. Probably more uncommon the lower the amount. Okay, because it costs them money to file the lawsuit. The other thing too is that if you're enrolled in HELPS and we send them a letter to your creditor telling them that your income Social Security is protected, you're not going to pay it, can't afford it. You know, logic would tell a normal person, why sue? You're not going to get anything from the guy. He knows what his rights are. Well, nevertheless, they do sometimes. They still do sometimes, not always. So I think it makes it less likely that you would be sued if you're enrolled with HELPS. Person contacts us from California. Can we help people in California? Yeah, we help people all over the country. In June 2025, he suffered a major income loss. He is now only on Social Security and had to default on his credit cards. He thinks they're almost all charged off. What's that mean, charged off? That means the creditor has determined that you're not going to pay, and it's an accounting note, and they put it on the credit report saying that we can't collect it. Doesn't mean you don't owe it. You still owe it, and they can still turn it over to a debt collector for collection. Said he is concerned about his bank account being frozen. And the paralegal informed him that as long as he has under 2 times the Social Security deposit in there, he would be okay. You know, in that account to which Social Security is deposited. So if you're sued, you'd probably want just one bank account. That's the account to which your Social Security goes. So he says it's still a concern. Well, we can send you an email with the law that details it. Now, if you ask your bank manager this rule, with rare exceptions, the bank manager isn't going to know the rule. The clerk definitely isn't going to know the rule. I've always said 999 out of 1,000 attorneys still don't know this rule, even though it's been in effect since 2012. It says the paralegal reached out to the bank's legal department if he would like to check on this. Well, getting through to them would be kind of impossible, but no, you just we can send you an email with a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. There's tons of articles on this that talk about bank account protection. Does it matter if there's a debt with a credit union? Well, it used to be, not so much anymore. In the past, credit unions were very slow to follow the law, to get on the uptake. But we just don't see any problems with clients that have been sued that get garnished, where we have to go inform the bank or the credit union, hey, you did it wrong. Here's the law. We don't have to do that anymore. We did for a while. Family and friends to assist him with needs. We went over what we do and his bank account protections. So we don't just tell you this. We can send you emails that it links to articles and videos and talk about your bank account protection. So, we can smother you with information on this topic if you want to be smothered with it. Can we assist with collection agencies? Absolutely. That's the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act applies to collection agencies specifically. Would we need the name of the creditor? Well, we need, whoever you owe money to. If it's been turned over to a collection agency, we don't need the name of the creditor, just the collection agency. So, says he is interested in our services as he cannot afford the credit card payments, but he also does not want to file bankruptcy. You don't need to file bankruptcy. And then he calls back on January 16th. I don't know when he first called. He apparently read it. He checked up on us, read what we sent him, and we enrolled him. He says converted to a client. That was on the 16th. That would have been Friday, right? Yeah. Yeah. So this is a good example. Thanks, Deb Dillon. Last week I spoke to Carrie, one of our paralegals, very sweet. All our paralegals are very nice. While we were on the phone, she sent 4 or 5 emails. We could do that. We can smother you with emails. We got probably 4 or 500 emails on different topics. Okay. I went online, filled out the creditor information, and by the end of the day, I got copies of the letters that were sent out. So in other words, this person enrolled. They sent us who we owe money to, who that they want to hear from, and within a few hours, we had letters going out to these different creditors. I say 24 to 48 hours just to be safe, but we do it pretty quick. We are extremely automated. It helps. Our mail goes out automatically. We don't use a postage machine. We have a company that does it. If I remember right, our email goes out from 2 locations in the United States, one here, so it gets to people quicker. This person contacts us from Maine. I've checked out your very informative videos on YouTube. I'm 62 years old, semi-retired U.S. Army veteran. I collect Social Security and I'm working part-time. I'm currently still in good standing with my creditors and have no issues currently. I moved all the way across the country to Arizona to lower housing costs. But my main concern is but since moving about a year ago, or a little bit less than a year ago, I haven't been able to secure a regular part-time job. This is something I did not anticipate. He works on the gig economy delivering food. This has not been effective in my earnings, which Social Security allows around 500 per week. I've been averaging around 150 per week. So I'm a bit concerned if the levy will break in the long front. I may need your assistance in the future, and I'm unable to keep up bills and expenses. Any information on my rights, such would be greatly appreciated. Well, if you're getting Social Security, you can stop paying the credit cards. Uh, your your wages are going to be protected. So if you work, there's a federal law in every state that protects a minimum of $217.50 net per week in wages, but a lot of states protect a lot more than that. Some states don't even allow wages to be garnished. We don't have a problem with our clients being garnished or wages being garnished. It's very rare that it's ever an issue. So this guy in Arizona, if he wanted to stop paying the creditors, he could do that and enroll sooner than later. It's up to him. Okay, here's one from Virginia. Can you help me? Can you go through the help programs 2 times? I came out of the program, but one of my creditors has harassed me. I used them one time, forgot about them. Now they are trying to harass me. I have actually made a payment to them. Now they're harassing me. It's the company Fortiva. So, when you enroll in helps, the fee is designed so that you pay a little bit up front, like $40 for 24 months, $20 thereafter for 24 months, then free thereafter. Or $30 for 24 months, $15 for 24 months free thereafter, or $20 for 24 months, $10 for 24 months for free thereafter. But you can cancel whenever you want. But the problem is if you cancel, then we're required to send a letter to the creditors saying we no longer represent you, and they can start bugging you again. And if person cancels like this person did, they're starting to be bugged again, and they want to re-enroll helps. Which we can re-enroll you. We'll start you off where you left off. But the cost is we've designed help so the cost is so minimal that people wouldn't be incentivized to cancel with us. Okay. So we're going to call this guy back from Virginia and re-enroll him. So this person contacts us from California. Their age is 76. They have some equity in a home in California. Now, California is interesting. It's in almost every county in California, you can have a home with equity of about 700,000 or more that's protected. And if you file for a homestead exemption, then if you go to sell the home, if there's a judgment lien, it doesn't. The home gets sold, you get all the money. There's none of the debt gets paid, so it's protected. You don't have to do anything special. So he says, "Can we help people in California?" Of course. And he says, in June 2025, he suffered a major income loss. He's now on only Social Security and had to default on his credit card bills. He thinks they're almost all charged off. He's concerned about his bank account being frozen. Is this the one I just read? Yeah, it is. Sorry about that. Okay, this one person calls us from New Jersey. Hello, I'm 73 years old and my wife is 69. When I read these little notes, don't guess on who I'm reading about. Do you know how many people that are 73 married to someone that's 69? Probably millions. It's not your friend or a relative, I can assure you. Okay, so anyway, and sometimes I turn around the numbers. I'll say a false number. Anyway, it says they both retired. Looks like about 3 years ago, and his wife suffered a stroke after being retired, and they incurred a bunch of medical bills which he put on his credit card, which were paid off before he retired. To be honest, he says we had a hard time adjusting to the reduced income. And the first year charged too many on the credit cards. We've since done away with all vacations, and to save money, my wife entered a debt relief program to get control of her own credit cards. Question I'd ask that person at this point is, when you enrolled with them, did they tell you that your income was protected? And you know what the answer is going to be? No, Mr. Olsen, they didn't tell me that. Why didn't they tell you that? Because if they would have told you that, you would have realized you didn't need to enroll with them, and they wouldn't make money off you. Okay, let's go on. What did they say? I was not aware that she had so much debt. I wasn't able to enter the program because I pay all the bills and would not have enough free money to agree to monthly payments. We still have a mortgage and a car payment. Our plan was for me to pay all the bills and my wife to pay for food and gas, etc. I'm personally way behind on credit card payments, and creditors are calling and mailing nonstop. I am still maintaining 4 credit cards for emergencies. My wife collects Social Security and I collect Social Security and a small pension. So that is our only income. I'm looking for advice as far as options. What are my rights here in the state of New Jersey? I really appreciate you taking time reading this message. We're going to call him. He's going to be okay. He can enroll in helps. Send letters. They both can enroll in helps. You can stop paying the debt management companies. You can call them on the phone, ask them to return any money they're holding that they haven't paid for their fees or sent to someone. Now, if you've got a credit card with a small balance, uh, he could keep that credit card as long as it's not backed by a bank with whom he has a credit card that he's not going to pay. So he's going to be okay. Doesn't need to worry. So Jerry asked, does this also apply to a default on a loan contract? Absolutely. Any kind of debt. I'm being sued. Not sure if it's the original creditor or just a law firm claiming to be the original creditor. Doesn't matter who. Say is Maryland. Yeah, doesn't matter. So a person contacts us from Oregon, and he gets, it says SSI, a little bit under 1,000 a month. Age is 654. He was involved in a car accident last year in a rental car. The rental car company is holding him responsible and says he owes $40,000. It's a lot of money. The accident was in Illinois. Um, I don't know the details on the accident, why it's that much. So this is notes from one of our paralegals. We went over what we do. He says he's going to review what we sent him, these emails, and may give us a call back to enroll. What did we send him? We sent him a general email that talks about helps. Who can helps helps? Who can help? Who can helps help? Another email we sent him. And it looks like we've. And then he called back on January 16th, would have been Friday, and enrolled. It helps. Realize that, yeah, this is going to solve his problem. He doesn't have to worry about this anymore. No one can take his income. He's going to be fine. Person contacts us from Tennessee. I just received civil warrant appear general session. Okay. So he's been sued. But some states have, usually when you get sued, it's called a summons and complaint. But sometimes they might have a different name to it. And maybe in Tennessee they call it a civil warrant. Well, the problem is when you hear the word warrant, what do you think? Warrant for arrest. So that we find that in some states that terrifies people. Okay? They think I'm going to get arrested, so they end up paying a debt when they don't have to, just because They use this archaic old language from many years ago. Anyway, the guy says, I don't believe it's mine, apparently, either the debt or the lawsuit. It has been sold once, and the name that is on the warrant is not my name, but it is my correct Social Security number. Uh, and it has a name, her old name, but she's been at a new name for over 20 years, a new different last name for 20 years. What do I do? I'm 65 years old with Social Security retirement and a small pension. Can you help me? When you call, please leave a callback number. And I live in a uh, hollow, and it's very bad reception. Sometimes I have to go to the road to make phone calls. Thank you very much. I live in Tennessee in the hollow. Well, okay. Um, you can always defend yourself from a lawsuit if you want to. But this person is 65. She gets Social Security in retirement. It's protected. If she didn't want to get involved with the court system, she doesn't need to do anything. Okay, you ignore it. They can get a judgment. They can't take her Social Security or her pension. Anyway, when she calls, we'll go over this or explain to her what her rights are. Yeah, some states they'll call it warrant and debt, um, or some states a state will file a tax warrant. You know, the word warrant gets mixed up with a warrant for arrest, and so it can scare people. Guy calls us from Texas, and he says, "Hello, my name is Brandon." Oh, Brandon. I usually don't give names, but it's a pretty common name. Okay. Oh, it doesn't matter. He says, I received a letter in the mail regarding my mom, letting us know that she was being sued by a nursing facility. I was reaching out because I wanted to see what options uh, we had or what could be done in order to resolve this situation. The facility she's been sued by told us at the time that she had a certain amount of days on Medicare. So they had us gather the paperwork and financial information so they could apply my mom for Medicaid. They told us several times she was considered Medicaid pending, so we shouldn't be billed for her stay. They ended up actually dropping the ball in the Medicaid application process several times, requesting us to resend information, which we did. They ended up telling me that the reason the application process failed was because of staff changes they had at the facility. Their fault. It wasn't until she ended up going to the hospital from the facility and was being discharged home from the hospital that we were informed that she had an outstanding bill. There were letters sent to our house, but we were in another city for almost 8 months, had no knowledge of the letters being sent. She also had other debts from hospitals, another facility for the same reason. Please get back to me as soon as possible. Let me know the information and what can be done. Thank you for taking the time to read. I don't know if this is a client or not. Um, but apparently she's still with the facility and on Medicaid now. But for some reason they sued her, maybe to get a judgment. I think I don't know why they would have done that. If she's on Medicaid, she doesn't have anything. Maybe there's a home, someone's at the home or something. I don't know. But yeah, if she's got other medical debt, if she enrolls in helps, none of these creditors can bother her anymore. I'd be telling the kids, get a power of attorney so mom doesn't have to deal with this directly. We'd work with one of the children that has power of attorney. Now, mom could always be part of this if she wants to be, but she may not want to be. It depends. We know what to do. Person contacts us from Missouri. They're 67 years old. They live a mobile home on land, and they get 2,100 in Social Security. I'm disabled and 67. I'm being sued by LVNV funding. You know what LVNV funding stands for? Las Vegas, Nevada funding. For a debt that is not mine. It's a very common collection agency. I can't afford a lawyer to defend myself. I'm laughing off Social Security disability. I'm living off Social Security disability and no other income in a single wide trailer. My summons says I need to appear on February 4th to answer. My ID was stolen in 2018, I think, but only learned about it a year ago after I learned that several credit cards have been placed in my name. I was told by LV funding that I better figure this out or I could have my home or vehicle taken from me. No, but anyway, they're using Mandarin's law to sue me. I talked to law enforcement, filled out the reports from the Attorney General's website, closed my credit monitoring account, tried reaching out credit card company to see if I could get a copy of the agreement, my signature to match with somebody who I think might have stolen a care. I think could be a caregiver that's stolen it. I could really use some help. Uh, we don't represent people in lawsuits. I mean, legal aid possibly might, but they may not. Um, you can represent yourself, if you want to. Um, judges are really lenient on that kind of thing. He owns a mobile home on land, car, truck, and camper. Then, uh, it's in-home care off and on since for a long time. Believes one of his caregivers may have taken his information and opened lines of credit without him knowing. Anyway, we enrolled him in helps. They're not going to take his house or his vehicles. They're old. No one's going to take it. Person says, I'm on dialysis. My insurance doesn't pay at all. I got a hospital when I was in over $1,000. I paid my brother's funeral. He didn't have insurance. I'm trying. I don't have. Yeah, there's not a question there, but call us if you have a question or worried or scared. That's what we're here for. Okay. Anybody know what options we have for people on Social Security that have a housing voucher if they cut our? We do have emails that talk about Section 8 housing on how to apply for it. You can call and talk to us, and we'll send that to you. And how to get another one that how to get moved up on the list. We have another one that talks about areas of the country where housing is more available than other areas through Section 8. Person contacts us from Maine, 78 years old. His only income is about 2,700 Social Security. He retired about 14 years ago and had his money in a 401k. Doesn't have much left. Uh, he paid his credit cards until this week. Can no longer afford it. Should he cut up the credit cards or wait for them to request them? You don't need to cut them off. I mean, you just stop paying them. Uh, and they're going to cut them off. You don't need to physically destroy them. Should he tell the creditors he's not going to pay? Don't need to do that. No, you don't need to do that. If you call them out of the blue and say you're not going to pay, you're just going to frustrate the person you talk to. They're not going to know what to do. We sent him a bunch of emails. He's going to review those and then call back, it says. So on January 14th, apparently says he didn't receive the email, so we resent them. Told him to check his spam folder. He called again on January 16th. Apparently got all our emails, and it says he's ready to enroll. He's current on all his debts, discussed updating. He stopped all the payments. Do I have an opinion on Kickoff, which is a trade line that can raise your credit score? Don't know anything about it. So a person contacts us from Texas. It says we initially took out a credit card from Wells Fargo Bank. We got behind on the payments, and then we could not make the payments at all. We owe somewhere around $5,000. We were supposed to go to the court for a motion for summary judgment on February 5th. We thought if we filed for arbitration, maybe the cost would be an amount they might just say it wasn't worth it for them to come to court and not show up. Guy's been reading. He's been reading what to do. We were both on Social Security at the end of the month. After we have paid all of our bills and expenses, we have less than $50 to spend. There's no way I can pay off this bill. What would you suggest? Okay. Well, I'll explain what they did. Okay, they live in Texas. They're on Social Security. They owe the debt, so no one. If they get a judgment, no one can be able to take anything from them. But they got sued, and so they filed an answer and they requested arbitration. So when you request arbitration, that means that both sides technically are supposed to pay a fee for an arbitrator. And it could be several $100s or more. It won't be $1,000. It could be $400 or $500 possibly on a bigger case, but it might be a small amount. And what they're thinking, they probably read somewhere and said, gee, if you request arbitration, the creditor may just say, it's not worth it, and drop the lawsuit. So they're asking what, okay, they live in Texas. Their income is protected, their house is protected, their bank account is protected. Even though they filed an answer to the motion for summary judgment, what's summary judgment? Well, they filed an answer, and then the creditor filed for summary judgment. They filed an affidavit saying, hey, this person has no case at all for defend this lawsuit. And the judge can cut it to the quick. He can agree and just give a judgment immediately. And so they don't need to, we'd be telling this person they don't need to worry. You just forget it. If you want to enroll in helps, we'll send a letter to the creditor you owe money to the attorney and let them know you're not going to go to court. We'll explain to you why your bank account is protected, why you don't need to worry about the judgment. Okay, so it's been an hour. It's been faster than I thought. And I will see you tomorrow at the same time. Okay? If you have press the like button, comment. I'll look at the comments, try to address them. Or you can always call us, 855-435-7787. Don't want you to worry. You're going to be fine. Okay? God bless, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.